The Hakone Turnpike. If you're not a JDM enthusiast or haven't spent countless hours playing Gran Turismo, you may not know that it's Japan's equivalent to the Nürburgring Nordschleife or Tail of the Dragon. It's 22 kilometers of perfectly maintained tarmac with sweeping curves, hairpin turns, and breathtaking mountain views. It's a driving enthusiast paradise. And this is the 2025 Toyota GR86 Hakone edition. So the question is, does this limited edition capture the spirit of Japan's best driving road, or is it another cosmetic package designed to separate enthusiasts from their money? What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Makse, racer, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, any day is a great day to drive an 86, and this 2025 Hakone edition is a unique thing. And the funny thing is, I've got a real thing for green and gold. Our race cars are green and gold, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But before we get into what this GR86 Hakone edition is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. You gotta love Toyota's approach to their performance cars because they're always iterating and making them better for drivers like us. For 2025, they've updated the GR86 with retuned shocks, revised throttle mapping for, get this, easier heel and toe downshifts, and updated the steering. The engineering team clearly wasn't satisfied with good enough. Under the hood is the 2.4-liter flat 4 that we know and love, makes 228 horsepower at 7,000 RPM and 184 pounds of torque at 3,700 RPM. And before you tell me that the Mustang EcoBoost makes a lot more power and a lot more torque, let me say it's like comparing a perfectly balanced Japanese knife to a sledgehammer. Sometimes finesse matters more than brute force. The transmission's a 6-speed manual, or there is a 6-speed automatic that is optional for my American friends. This is, of course, rear-wheel drive. There's a Torsen limited slip diff in the back. Steering's electrically assisted. Suspension's based around McPherson struts at the front, double wishbones at the rear. This one gets SACHS dampers and also gets Brembo 4-piston front calipers and 2-piston rear calipers. Wheels are these bronze 18s. They come wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires. It's winter here, so we are in some winter tires at the moment. Curb weight is 2,811 pounds, and static weight distribution is 53% front, 47% rear. But on this channel, we know it's not static weight distribution that counts, it's how you use it. And for my American friends, Toyota throws in a 1-year membership to NASA, including a track day with NASA, so you get to see if you have what it takes to follow in my tire tracks as a multiple NASA champion. Spoiler alert, you probably don't, but I can tell you it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun if you try. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this, and if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Behind the wheel, it is the same driver interface that we've experienced in this current generation 86, which is simple, effective, straightforward. Ergonomically, it's a mix of Toyota and Subaru, as we know, but it all kind of comes together and serves the driver. Since this is a sports car, after all, we're seated nice and low in the chassis. I've got a great relationship to the steering wheel and to the pedals. The first person to complain about how close I sit to the steering wheel loses. And in fact, to make some of you seating position sensitive types comfortable, I've actually seated myself a little further back in the car today. Seriously though, this is one of the most effective driver interfaces in the business, period. The steering wheel is the right shape, the right size. It's not one of these overly thick wheels. It's just perfect, the right diameter as well, and it's round, no flat bottom nonsense. And the pedal layout is absolutely perfect. It's perfect for heel and toe, which we will talk about in a little bit. It's automotive cliche time, but this shifter falls perfectly to hand. No, I'm just kidding. It's laid out absolutely perfectly, just like my interface to the wheel, the pedals. The shifter is here, absolutely perfectly positioned. There's just no compromise here. And it delivers short, precise throws, unlike Mustang owners who often throw their cars into crowds after Cars and Coffee. The digital instrument cluster deserves a bit of a mention here, not because it's particularly high tech, but because it delivers exactly the information you're looking for. It's simple, clear, and changes themes a little bit when you switch between drive modes. And unlike some displays you find in other cars, this one you can actually read when you know you're driving. In 2025, I do have to say that this infotainment system seems like a bit of a throwback, but overall, this 86 has just the right amount of tech for such a wonderful mechanical driving experience. The Popo were here the other day, so we are going to use this car's cruise control. Hi, officer, I can see you standing there. Hi there. Oh, I called this one. In terms of visibility, you can actually see out of this thing fairly easy in all directions. Big outboard mirrors, love that. Adjust your 3 mirrors properly, and blind spots aren't real. Love the fact that this has a low cowl height. I can actually see the tips of the fenders, and that helps you when you're throwing it through the corners or on the racetrack to be able to place this with a heck of a lot of precision. Of course, it's got a backup camera, and that's definitely helpful for me because I need all the help I can get when it comes to parallel parking. In terms of spaciousness, there's just the right amount of space for you as the driver and more than enough space for your passenger to be comfortable. But let's talk about the elephant in the showroom, or the lack of elephant room: the back seats. Toyota calls this a 2+2, which is optimistic in the same way that calling a Pop-Tart a breakfast pastry is optimistic. Those seats aren't for people, they're for gym bags, groceries, or that jacket you only wear to impress someone. But that's not criticism, it's honesty in design. Toyota knows that this is a driver's car first, and they've added a touch of practicality so that you can convince yourself that this is possibly a sensible purchase. Low grip, a little bit of dampness on the road surface, and winter tires. Let's see how this GR86 Hakone accelerates from a stop, shall we? Let's. Not bad at all. I think Toyota says this does 0 to 60 in 6.1, but I think it's more like 5.5, and that's just quick enough. Don't mind that at all. The joy is, however, revving this motor out to redline, and that's really what it wants to do. Top speed is maybe 140 miles an hour, more than quick enough to get into trouble in this part of the world, but also that's more than quick enough to have a lot of fun on any track day. Even my home track, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, which is fast and has long straights, this thing is a blast to drive around there as well. Now, about this engine, 2.4 liters and 4 cylinders of horizontally opposed fury that makes 228 horsepower and 184 pounds of torque. On paper, those numbers are just adequate in an era when even family sedans routinely put down 300 horses. But it isn't about the numbers, it's how this engine delivers its power. It's the difference between a bar rail rum and coke and a perfectly mixed craft cocktail. They might have the same alcohol content, but one is a means to an end and the other is an experience. Peak torque arrives at about 3,700 RPM, and then that torque curve stays flat all the way through the rev range where you need it most. And then power, it just builds all the way to the top of the rev range, and this thing just loves climbing to redline. 7,000 RPM. Love it. This gearbox is so good that it probably deserves its own review, maybe even its own fan club. It's got mechanical precision that's increasingly rare these days, and it's just satisfying on every shift. Combined with a clutch that's got very clear engagement and a perfectly weighted pedal, it creates this harmonious man-machine connection that makes you want to downshift even when you don't have to. And while manual gearboxes may be dying in the broader market, Toyota knows who their customers are and knows it's for drivers like us who appreciate a masterpiece like this. Another thing I love about this driving experience is that limited slip diff. It does such a good job putting down power. It just amplifies the whole mechanical experience of this GR86, but it does such a good job putting down power and makes that rear axle all the more controllable when you're driving this at and around its limits. As I mentioned earlier, for 2025, Toyota says they revised the throttle mapping to make heel and toe downshifts easier, and I have to say, it's actually true. When they talk about the revised throttle mapping in human language, that means when you press the gas pedal, stuff happens exactly the way you want it to. This might sound like a low bar to clear, but you'd be surprised how many modern cars get this wrong. And from here in the driver's seat, this throttle pedal seems connected to the engine by a steel rod instead of Bluetooth. There has never been a GR86 that is as easy to heel and toe downshift as this 2025 Hakone edition. If you don't know what heel and toe is, well, we've got the best tutorial on heel and toe on YouTube. Links here and in the description below. Be sure to check it out if you want to improve your technique or learn what it's all about. In an era when we've got turbocharged motors and dual clutch gearboxes, this drivetrain is a bit of a throwback, but on the other hand, it is like Toyota's engineers know that sometimes the old ways are best. Just like the MX-5, which feels like you're driving at 9/10 even at legal speeds, this 86 lets you wind out the gears without feeling like you're immediately going to qualify for a court appearance. When it comes to its dynamics, I think the suspension is set up to be just as balanced as this drivetrain is. And maybe that's the theme of this car, it's balance. And the suspension is a great blend of handling as well as ride comfort. It's not overly stiff and has the ability to soak up bumps like no trouble at all. And speaking of bumps, let's hit a bumpy, curvy road, shall we? Let's. Great turn in response. Again, soaking up the bumps through the corners, putting down power. Love it. Little bit of power oversteer. Braking absolutely perfect, just telepathic with that pedal. And surprisingly good feedback through the steering wheel. This is one of those cars that just paints a smile on your face anytime. Now, tough corner here, off camber on the exit, downshift, and we pick up the throttle, little power oversteer, no trouble putting down power, again, soaking up the bumps. Just wonderful. What a fantastic driving experience. I gotta say, this steering is so precise that it makes something like a Challenger feel like it's got the directional stability of a wobbly shopping cart. That's really in the corners where this Hakone edition justifies its existence and perhaps its price point. The damping is absolutely perfect, and these Brembo brakes I absolutely love. Think of it this way, it's like upgrading from gas station earbuds to high-end headphones. Suddenly you're hearing notes in the music that you didn't know existed. Every seam in the asphalt, every change in texture is communicated through the chassis and the steering wheel with remarkable clarity. But it delivers that without the punishing harshness that makes some sports cars unbearable on anything less than perfect pavement. In the corners, chassis balance is incredibly neutral. You can control the attitude of this 86 with the steering wheel, with the brake pedal, with the throttle, whatever you like. It's as neutral as Switzerland in a world conflict. And this thing is so good, it kind of makes BMW's old tagline of the ultimate driving machine seem like an asterisk. Let's talk about these Brembo brakes for a second, because they're not here for the red caliper flex. Initial bite is perfect. It's not grabby, and then once you're into the pedal, stopping builds with a linearity that allows you to precisely manage weight transfer on corner entry, which is one of the most beautiful things you can do with this brake pedal. These are the kind of brakes that give you supreme confidence as a driver, not because they're massively powerful, but because you can control the attitude of the car with such precision, and then you've got great feel coming through that pedal. The entire chassis is so communicative. It takes it to another level, unlike my wife, who still won't tell me why she was upset on Tuesday. How do you spec yours? Well, this is a very easy question to answer because Toyota makes this available in exactly one specification, which is great for indecisive people like my wife when I ask her, where should we go for dinner tonight? The paint color is called Ridge Green, the wheels are bronze, and the interior is black and tan. Base price and as tested in the US is $35,270. In Canada, it's $38,710, and these prices are before freight, taxes, fees, etc. Seriously though, the Hakone edition starts at the premium trim level of the GR86, but takes all the decision-making out of the process. You get this paint, the bronze wheels, the ultra suede and tan interior, Brembo brakes, and SACHS dampers. And that's standard equipment, no options. Your only choice technically is limited by region. If you're an American, you can choose between the manual and the automatic. Well, here in Canada, we get the manual only, presumably because Toyota thinks Canadians have better taste. This take it or leave it approach is refreshing in an era when configuring a German car requires a spreadsheet, a philosophy degree, and potentially a second mortgage. And essentially, Toyota is saying this is a special one. We're only making a limited number of these. Do you want it or not? Yes, I do have a thing for green and gold. Our Mercedes-AMG race cars are green and gold, and we have an esports division of our racing team, and two of our drivers are competing in the official GR Cup, and that is sanctioned by SRO, and they will also have green and gold liveries on their GR86 Cup race cars. How incredible is that? And talk about a wonderful coincidence for 2025. Hakone edition, kind of green and gold. Our race cars, definitely green and gold. My verdict, well, after a glorious week with this GR86 Hakone edition, I've reached a proper conclusion. And this GR86 is not about the ridge green paint or about those bronze wheels. Between the Brembos, the dampers, and the free NASA membership, Toyota has basically created the perfect starter kit for following my path from track day enthusiast to compulsive trophy collector and insufferable dinner party conversationalist. As to whether it captures the spirit of the Hakone Turnpike, well, it's hard to say if you haven't driven it like I have, and if you have driven it, I definitely want to learn more, so please tell me about it in the comments below. What I can say is this car delivers exactly what great roads demand. Precise, confident handling, predictable responsiveness, and the ability to put a smile on your face from corner to corner. And in 2025, car culture has gotten a little strange. On one hand, you've got EV enthusiasts arguing about range anxiety and charging networks, while Toyota has quietly built one of the last great affordable driver's cars. It's kind of like serving a steak when everybody else is arguing about which plant-based alternative tastes the least like shoes. And if you can find one of these at a reasonable price, well, my advice is to buy it, enjoy it, drive it, and remember that Toyota still builds incredible driver's cars for drivers like us. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2025 Toyota GR86 Hakone edition. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below, lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Toyota GR86s. And since you've hung around this long, have a look at this GR86 Hakone Edition's foil, the Subaru BRZ TS. Hope you enjoy that episode. Thanks again for watching.